Hi. Well, welcome to Finding Lightness in Blindness. This is our third, episode?
Yeah.
I'm Ann Wagner,
I'm Eric Ringham.
and I am blind due to retinitis pigmentosa, and I work as a clinical psychologist at a Veterans Affairs Medical Center, but I'm here solely in my role as a citizen psychologist, and I am not representing any official views of the federal government, nor am I entering into any clinical provider role with anyone who happens to view this video. And this is our dog Bandit.
Say hi, Bandit. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so you may be hearing his sounds, or those of you who can see may see his sweet face from time to time.
He's off screen now.
Okay. Do you want to say anything else to introduce yourself?
I'm Eric Ringham. I'm a former journalist, recently retired during a COVID workforce reduction from public radio, and I'm married to Ann Wagner, which is my greatest achievement.
Oh, so our topic today is, but I didn't ask for help. So it's a frequently occurring sort of a tension moment with people who have difficulty seeing and potentially sighted helpers in their lives who want to offer help. So I'm going to be just sharing a couple of ideas that might help with those patterns of tension moments. The idea of externalizing, naming the pattern can be really, really helpful. And then either partner can name it when it shows up, and it just helps put the issue out there instead of in either one. And also the principle of recognizing the importance of not buying into judgments, particularly shoulds. Shoulds, there's no truth in any should thought. He shouldn't be offering. He should know I can do this myself. Those kind of issues, there's no truth in that. The reality is when he's offering to help, in that moment he's offering to help, and I may or may not want to accept it because of my value of self-sufficiency. So we're going to give some examples of how we've named the pattern, and we're going to go both ways. The times where he thinks I need help and he offers and I haven't asked, and the times where I ask him for help and it's not the best time. That's another tension area. So,
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah. So a simple example where we actually came up with a name for the first pattern when I haven't asked for help is I was sitting on the couch with Eric and I said, I'm thirsty, because sometimes I just state out my names and I fully planned to stand up and get myself some water. And what happened?
I offered to get Ann a glass of water.
And in that moment, I said no. I could get it myself, and I know my tone conveyed the kind of irritability.
A little irritability.
Yeah, and I don't ever want to sound that way with him because he is the love of my life, and I only want him surrounded with loving kindness all the time, but I also want my own values. Of course, we want what we want. Emotions are natural. He wants what he wants. I want what I want.
But a core value of mine is, if you say you're thirsty, I'm going to offer you a glass of water.
Right. So that became the name of that pattern. It's really important to me to respect that his values, of course, he's going to act on that if he thinks there's something he can do to be helpful that is core to who he is. And I'm not going to judge that. I'm going to validate it. Of course, he's going to offer. And I'm going to invite him to just check in. Is this maybe a time where Ann can do this herself? Because her value of self-sufficiency and independence is also important. So now we name that. When that tension shows up, either one of us may say, if you say you're thirsty, and that's all we need to know, and it helps me validate he's naturally doing what feels important to him, and he's also being reminded I can do this myself.
And I'm working really hard on the character improvement of just sitting there and, in my mind, rudely or risking being rude by not offering to get up and get that for you.
Yep. And if a quick other example of that, for many years, my sister and I lived together, and my sister Becky is fully sighted. And when this pattern would come up, we named it, we used to love watching Xena Warrior Princess. So she would just ask me, if she saw me trying to do something on my own, she goes, is this a Xena moment, Ann? Because I would say, I want to be like Xena. I'm empowered. I can do this myself. And that became our cue word for naming her resisting asking or offering help when I didn't ask. So
I never knew this about you.
Yeah, these are my Xena moments. So that was how we worked it out when I lived with my sister.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we have to grapple with, is the not having asked for help. The other thing is asking for help, because Anne seems to have this idea that I'm kind of a notebook, and she can list a bunch of things that she needs, either things that she needs me to pick up off a shelf or things that she needs me to do. And then in her mind, once she's said it, she's put it in the notebook. I was there, I heard it, I must have recorded it. And yet for me, that's not really the way my mind works, or my motor mechanisms function. I tend to do things 1, 2, 3 things at a time, and I only retain the stuff that I need to know right now. So, for example, if we're in Target and we're shopping, and we're operating largely off a list. I'm sorry, Bandit's going to hit the keyboard with his face. If we're operating off a list that's in Anne's head, she'll say peanut butter, and I'll say okay, and we'll start heading down the aisle for the peanut butter, and then she'll say plus smoked ham, and I say right. So then I've got this mental list going: peanut butter, smoked ham, and then she says, oh, marshmallows. Okay, peanut butter, smoked ham, marshmallows. And then she says, and you wanted more half and half. And at that point, I'll say, you're crashing the computer, because I really only function a thing or two at a time. And like a computer, if you keep hitting enter before it's finished digesting the command you already gave it, you're going to crash the computer, and comes kind of close to crashing me sometimes. I'm much easier to fool than a computer. I'm easier to confound.
And
so
that pattern shows up whenever I'm asking for help when it's not the best time for Eric. And he gets to say it's not the best time. Just because I have a disability doesn't mean my needs immediately have to get met over his needs to finish a task he might be doing. So it's just being mindful that we both want what we want,
mm-hmm.
and we can respect that without judging it. And we get to set our boundaries and our limits. So the crashing the computer became the name for any of those moments where I'm putting something out there that I want from him, and it's like too much, or it's not the right time. And it totally works for me to kind of chuckle. So humor helps with the naming, and I just back down and I wait, or whatever I need to do to adjust, being aware he is communicating something important. I'm crashing his computer. So anyway, these are just some ideas for externalizing, naming the pattern, talking about it when you're in a calmer place versus in the midst of it might be helpful to come up with how you would externalize and be able to look at it together. Humor is helpful, or something tender or meaningful, or something that clearly helps you get grounded with your values of really caring about each other, not judging the position of the other person. It just is.
Sometimes when we're out in the world and it gets tense, the only solution is for one or the other of us to take the lead and get right up close to the other person and kiss that person.
Yeah.
In public.
We do that too, as the ultimate when we're both really, really uptight. And we've both done it, and luckily the other person has never rejected it. I know that would be awful.
That would be nuclear.
That would just be awful.
That would be the end.
No, we just get up close and say, "I'm going to kiss you," and then we do, and we make amends, and it's all good.
And it's
so
good
anyway,
because it gets us back to common ground.
Exactly.
That's where we need to be.
Yeah. So that's it for now, I think, for some ideas.
We appreciate your watching, and we'll be back.
Bye-bye.